Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis.
And I'm the disembodied voice.
And this is...
Monster Comic Review.
That's right. This is books for the week of September 7th, 2016. I got all that right? Yeah, sure.
As far as I know.
We're going to jump right in with Alters, issue number 1. New book by Aftershock Comics.
Okay, I'll talk. I like the concept. And I would be really excited about a trans hero. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I have only one issue, and I've heard that there have been others. Mine is that our transitioning young lady who is still living with her family as a boy, doesn't need a male at birth. Mm-hmm. My only problem is that they say, I only feel like I'm myself when I'm her. And to me, it feels as though if you're already a her, it should have been, I only feel like I'm myself when I'm in costume. Or when I'm in costume, that is when I really feel like I'm myself. Referring to your costume as the gender that you are seems weird to me.
Yeah.
And if this is a transitioning human, then they are a woman. They have always been a woman. It's just physically they were born in the wrong body, if I understand how transitioning or trans people work. And
right.
As a cis female heterosexual, for the most part, person, I'm not going to say I know or understand everything.
Well, sure. So yeah, I mean, it's her alter ego. She's treating like another person, and when she makes that reference, it's really strange. I mean, it doesn't jibe with the whole process, right? Yeah. So I mean, clearly you can go online and check out there have been other trans people who've reviewed the comic and have issues with it and whatnot. I haven't had time to really dig in further to see if there's those that don't. So I kind of take their default word for a large chunk of what's said as far as that. I like the premise of the story too. Basically, it's the here and now. Something has happened and there's like 50,000 alters across the world or whatever. People suddenly cropped up as superheroes, and some people are acting as heroes, some people aren't. There's one hero, Madman, is that what he's called? Madness Man or something like that. He's like a strong arm of the whole Eastern Seaboard. And you can't be a superhero or act like a superhero, do anything unless you report to him first and basically swear allegiance to him. Chalice, who seems to be the main character of this issue, even though I've read articles by the reviews from Paul Jenkins, the writer, saying that there are going to be other. It's not just about her; it's about a bunch of people.
Okay.
But she has shown up and been super heroic and hasn't reported. And this guy, this Mr. Madness or whatever the heck his name is, hunts down those people that do that and will kill and destroy whatever he needs to force them to swear allegiance to him, or they kill him off. And there's this group that's kind of running scared from him, but also trying to help newly exposed heroes. Because not everybody who gets superpowers instantly knows how to use them. Like they smash into walls, they learn to fly, and all kinds of stuff. So there's all these different things going on. So I'm interested in the premise of the story. The trans part of this could have been handled better. I'll leave the larger debate on who it is that should write these stories or not write these stories to somebody else. But I get the grievances that some people have with some of those aspects. But I definitely agree with you. It seemed weird, the whole suddenly referring to her alter ego of Chalice as a her and kind of implying that she's still a him. It was odd. That whole very end of it, kind of part of that aspect of it was.
It didn't. It's odd because I would think that if you were fully identifying as she appears to be,
she's really not coming out to her family yet.
Right.
So.
But she started hormone therapy,
which I have to admit, I tend to agree with the trans community in that probably a straight white guy shouldn't be writing a trans woman's journey of transition. And it kind of implies that he's kind of doing that in here, even though he swears up and down in interviews that's not what he's doing. But it sure felt like it. And the book isn't solely supposed to be about her, and more than a third of it was her.
Yeah.
And her about her being trans.
First person with her, and then when it wasn't in first person, you also still saw a bunch of her.
So he failed one way or the other. He's failing in the interviews by saying that it wasn't this, or he really believes it's that, and that it isn't, and he failed in that prospect of it. Clearly, I'm going to get a few more issues because of the way I order and whatnot.
And I'm curious. I want to see where it goes.
I'm curious to see what else there is, because I've heard there's going to be lots of other superpowered people in it. There's supposedly coming up a quadriplegic person, so maybe he can offend handicapped people too. I don't know. With superpowers.
I guess we'll see.
We'll see what ends up being like that. Yeah. Anyway. Issue number 6 of Batman. 3 months of Batman now.
And this is the first time that I've really felt any kind of attachment to this incarnation of Batman.
Batman himself. Or
Yes.
Batman the book in general.
Batman himself in this book.
Okay.
I have not really felt any real feeling, Batman-y or even Bruce Wayne-y feelings toward this Batman.
He's a non-player in his own book.
Right, until this time when he's talking to Gotham Girl and trying to help her get through the death of her brother.
Right.
And that's, so far, has been my favorite scene in this book. And I thought that she and her mental instability after losing her brother definitely was well done too.
Right. Yeah. I actually really, as a whole, enjoyed this issue too. I like the idea that Bruce is kind of struggling with the way to try and help her, because she is just on a tear of being a superhero. And the more we've learned that the more she uses her powers, the more she shortens her life.
Exactly.
And so she's basically on a fast track to death, just because she's
slowly and heroically committing suicide.
Right.
Is what's going on.
Right. And
she knows it.
And Batman catches up to her at some point and kind of has the talk of, I get why you do what you do, because I do it for the same reason, to try and fill this void that I can't.
Right.
That I can't fill.
He explains that he talked to his
still does.
Yeah, still speaks to his mom.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I have lost both my parents, and I still talk to my mom. So, not out loud usually, but I do.
And amongst some beating people up, huh? Yeah.
No, the rest of that does not apply to me.
But yeah, I mean, so I still don't feel like Batman has a voice at all. I still have the same criticism I had since the beginning of this, that it just seems very strange the way the whole thing is written. Of course, our final issue, the final page, spearheads us ahead into what the next arc is going to be of the book. But before we get to that arc, we're going to have the Monster Man crossover thing with Detective Comics and Nightwing is going to happen in these three different books. Before that, but he's getting himself immersed with Waller and the Suicide Squad stuff. One of the things that's really strange is so who are the supervillains in this? Who are the supervillains?
They're all kind of no-named, brand new. Kite Man.
Well, no, Kite Man's old, actually.
Oh, Kite Man's old? Okay.
Hardcore old. Kite Man's like 1950s or 40s.
Well, they are people that I don't personally know.
Right. But, okay, besides the people she's chasing, though, who affected her and her brother and stuff?
Oh, Batman.
No, Batman didn't affect them. Psycho Pirate did, right?
I see.
So Psycho Pirate and
Dr.
Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Are kind of like the main guys. Then we find out that there's somebody have hired them to do whatever, right?
I remember that totally.
But anyway, so we see Strange in basically 2 panels. One's at the very beginning of this run, and then like an issue or 2 ago, we see him with Psycho Pirate. We've seen Psycho Pirate in 2 panels. One without him wearing his costume, looking all panicked and freaked out, and then one in his costume. Otherwise, they're not in this. The villains that caused all this aren't even in the damn book.
Because the damage has been done already.
Yeah, but is it just not weird?
I don't have a problem with it, oddly enough.
And he's not even gonna go after them. He's going after.
That part is a little weird. But is he going to go after who hired them, right?
I don't know. It's just, the whole book just, like I said, continues. continues to
I
feel
understand your
really
problem.
weird. I'm reading it almost like I was reading Burnside Batgirl. I'm reading it out of curiosity of where are they going with this and why is it being done this way. Less curiosity with the Burnside Batgirl because I got who they were trying to appeal to. I'm still
I understand
the way this is written is still just so strange. I mean, Batman is such a non-person in it. It just feels really, really odd. I don't know what am I supposed to be invested in this book.
He's pretty two-dimensional. I don't know.
So it continues to be strange in that sense for me. That part of it hasn't rectified. This was definitely a better issue. It was more interesting as far as what was going on. It felt like, you could be emotionally invested in what was happening in the
There was
story.
at least a connection being made that made sense.
Right. So the Rebirth issue. This is Cyborg Rebirth. Where typical Rebirth issue for me, you kind of get a rehashing of Cyborg's kind of history, how he came to be Cyborg, kind of glossed over some stuff while currently dealing with a current threat. Towards the end of it, we get exposed to some potential story ideas of what the book might be about. We find out one of the big reveals in this is, he's designed by alien technology, and Dad's not even sure if he's actually human anymore. That the cyborg part hasn't just replicated the Victor part enough, the Vic part enough to make him seem like he is that. And so Dad's even questioning whether or not he's. So I'm assuming we're gonna venture into that in this story of that kind of search. Is he human or is
that to happen.
Is he not human? Sort of a thing. Otherwise it was just, okay, I'm not a super Cyborg fan. I mean, I've always been fine with him with Teen Titans back in the day.
Yeah, or in the Justice League for me.
And all that stuff and whatnot. But, I'm going to hang on a few issues because I'm not judging any of the runs by the Rebirth because with the exception of like one or two issues, I have not been a real fan of the Rebirth stuff.
No, it hasn't.
In retrospect, now we're basically more than halfway through the Rebirth issues that we're going to get. If I would have known what these were going to be like, I would have never gotten the Rebirth issues. I would have just started with the true number one of the series and gone from there.
I can understand that.
Anything you want to say?
No, just on the last page we saw someone who wants to be Victor's father, kind of.
Yeah. So towards the end we get this panel of somebody that's kind of been attacking the Star Labs where his dad works at and whatnot and trying to break into the information that has to do with Cyborg. And we get this silhouetted figure and these monitors with all these other potentially computer-ran, cyber-oriented kind of people. I mean, there's pictures of OMAC in there. There's pictures of the Metal Men in there. There's pictures of
Tornado.
Red Tornado in there. Yeah, so you get this whole mix of other androidy, cybernetic-y kind of.
And they're saying that Cyborg is kind of
is the purest. He's the purest of the.
And the person saying that is not the most attractive looking.
Well, yeah, they're a cyborg thing themselves. They almost look like Victor.
I'm interested in seeing where they came from and how they were made.
Yeah. So look at that. Not turned off by it, but at the same time, like I said, it's that same sort of. If you already have kind of a sense of who Victor is and where he came from and his origin and whatnot, that's.
Yeah, I enjoyed reading it. Just because I like the love story between his parents because I hadn't heard that before.
Oh, sure. So next up is Doctor Strange, number 11, kind of an in-between issue after the whole
it's sort of the day after
magic thing and whatnot.
Sweeping up and trying to get back to normal, and finding that things are not normal. But
so they pick up the pieces after the whole Death of Magic. What was that called? Was it called Death of Magic?
Probably.
At any rate, things don't just bounce back. Magic doesn't just bounce back. There's a teeny bit of magic everywhere, still. But so they got to basically start from scratch. He's got to start from scratch. Basically he goes to the bar, kind of a thing. And everything's wrecked there. And they kind of tell him you got to start from scratch. Everybody basically tells you to start from scratch. So he really is. Instead of having this wealth of a library, his library is completely dead.
He's down to like a binder of magic that works.
Right, and so he's gonna have to start writing the spells himself. Right, he is going to be the person that is going to start filling the library again with stuff. He's decided it seems to be his thing. While we're doing this, we're also getting flashbacks of kind of his origin, of how he came to be, and a particular person within that origin that at the end of this is posed as a threat to him. Now that he is weak, somebody from his past is going to come back to get him. Makes perfect sense. As a villain, that's when you go after people, is when they're at their weakest kind of thing. Happy to see that the librarian is still around.
Yeah, I really like
They haven't gotten rid of her and whatnot.
And also the monks have all been dispatched and sent home, so he's
supposedly
going to feel his own after effects.
Do you trust Wong? Do you trust Wong enough to have done that? I mean, he had this secret thing the entire time.
I don't know.
Or you just moved the monastery to someplace else.
I hope so. I hope that we can trust him, but we don't know for sure. And the thing in the basement, that's kind of...
Or do you trust him to do the right thing?
Off and gone someplace else.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see that again.
Yeah.
From the last one and whatnot. There's some moments in here I'm just curious about, because you don't have a large breadth of Doctor Strange history. So there's a point in here where his hands are all bandaged up and he's falling into a dumpster and all that sort of stuff, and he gets the
Right,
he gets
tries
he
to get superpowers.
Back in the day, so he tries to get the superpowers. Did you understand that this was back in the past?
Yes.
Okay, so because it says years ago. So he is trying to get superpowers. Do you understand why he's trying to get superpowers?
He wants his hands restored. He
Okay,
used to be a surgeon.
and you knew all that.
Yeah.
Does it say that in the book?
It says that at the very beginning of almost every...
Oh, so it says it in this part.
I think so. And if it hasn't, it has before.
Shame on me then, I guess, because I never read this page, and I just thought I was really curious. I read through this, and I'm going, wow. And as I was reading this, I was thinking of you, going, I wonder if she's going to have a clue as to why he's so worried about getting superpowers, and his hands are all bandaged, and it doesn't make, because nothing about that makes any kind of sense. Unless it says at the very beginning.
But I didn't realize...
Oh, preeminent surgeon until the accident changed?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
It says that at the beginning of every issue. I know.
I still hate that page.
I know you do. You
With
hate
a passion, everybody else loves it. I'm
and
the
I
only
like
person.
it because I don't always pay as much attention as I should, and it's nice to have a reminder.
Still enjoy the book?
Yeah, I am. I'm kind of glad to see him back in a time where he is looking at all the magic that's riding on people and floating over people and attached to people.
Right.
All the benevolent magic in the world that is slowly coming back. There's less of it, but it's there.
Right.
And yes, it takes way more effort to dispatch something that should have been easy before.
Yes.
I did love the fact that after he's done needing to get like a magic baseball bat essentially to take
baseball
down...
bat with magical barbed wire wrapped around it. Yeah.
To take out this
seal.
one kind of nasty magical parasite type thing.
Yeah.
And he is just knocked out by it and, sitting... And nobody can see the, pool of magic blood. They just see him and they're like...
He looks like a bum. They're throwing change at him.
Change at him.
Get a job. Get a job, you bum.
And so that was actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
So, Green Arrow issue number 6. Kind of moved away from our main storyline. We're getting kind of a guest artist, or I don't know if we call him a guest artist. It's not Otto Schmidt and it's not Juan Ferreira, the two guys who have been doing the book up to this point. A Emmy story.
Yeah, but it's kind of still... it's the aftermath of that where Amiko's getting scolded by her mother because she had a whole...
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Whole subplot.
I guess you're right. Whereas the last issue kind of left Ollie, on the island again. You think, we're gonna get this island story. We're dealing with these people now.
Right.
We're dealing with this, which is cool. And it says, Sins of the Mother Part 1. I don't know how many parts the Sins of the Mother is. But yeah, so we basically get this.
She had there's a Yakuza subplot because Shadow really feels as though the Yakuza owns her, and she was working for them more than she was the Ninth Circle.
Right, and because she's owned by the Yakuza, of course her daughter's owned by the Yakuza too.
But Amy doesn't have those same feelings.
Right, of course. So we get this kind of current story of her trying to deal with the Yakuza, this whole Yakuza element that she now feels like she needs to get rid of. Even, she threw it to the Ninth Circle, kind of. She was the kind of pivotal key point in that.
Sure was.
And now she does that. And we get this kind of history of her kind of exposure to Ollie and how Ollie has kind of changed her to some degree. Showed her there can be more than just being that bot assassin kind of stuff.
Right. She's got this her own person.
And she's kind of got this mystery going on at her high school with the Clock King and
I
stuff.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
The winding.
Yeah. So
yeah, there's quite a bit of interesting stuff.
there's some good stuff in here. There's some elements that I thought was like she goes to fight the Yakuza. She's in Japan. She's going to fight the Yakuza at a pit because she wants to get close to this one Yakuza boss to basically kill him or deal with him in some way to release her mom.
Right.
So she's in this, like the pit fighting, and the other Japanese guy, I'm assuming he's supposed to be Japanese, that's there, got this ridiculous rising sun tattoo or whatever across it. To me, it was just a little too...
Stereotypical?
Yeah, verging on that uncomfortable racist kind of stereotypical kind of thing.
Yes.
The only thing that would have made it worse if he had buck teeth and was wearing big, thick glasses.
Oh, please.
Well, I'm just saying, but I mean, it's this era's version of that with the ridiculous rising sun tattoo.
Rising sun headband would have been just enough stereotype to make it not too terrible.
That would have been bad too.
Yeah, Karate Kid flashbacks.
Right, but at any rate, I mean, cool character. There's rumors. People are kind of tossing around that maybe there's a one person that's going to be in the Teen Titans. We don't know who it is.
Oh, that could be fun.
She would be an interesting mystery person. Can you imagine her and Damien together?
Oh dear, because they're
both assassins. They're
both strong-willed. They both have these mothers that raised them to be completely something other than what they are.
Yeah. Well, no, Shadow didn't raise her.
Okay, that's true. That's true, but okay, but still, both been raised by
To be uber assassins.
exactly, and then they both have strong, non-actually powered superhero, millionaire
Yeah.
father figures.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Damien's face, it is actually his dad. But
Yeah. Right.
So, it
would
could be really
lots of fireworks.
interesting.
Lots of fireworks. Feel sorry for the rest of the characters that would be in that book because they'd be total non-players.
It would be really fun just to have a series of the two of them, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about it?
Nope.
Okay. So here is Harley Quinn issue number 3, and there goes Harley Quinn issue number 3.
I didn't read it.
I did. I read it. I read all the way to the very end of this one.
Oh, wow, congratulations.
Yeah. I can tell you there's a beaver in it. I can tell you there's a cock in it, a rooster.
Okay, I
yeah.
don't need to hear. It's just not our Harley, okay,
Sure.
guys? We're sorry.
I'm not sorry at all.
Well, I'm
glad
sorry
people.
I
I'm
can't
glad
relate to
people
the
enjoy.
current Harley, but I'm glad
I'm glad
it's
people
selling.
enjoy it, but it's
Yeah.
not my thing. Anyway, so we'll just let waste time with it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go on to Justice League issue number 4. This is the first issue that's drawn by somebody other than Tony Daniels. Marino.
I wasn't. Oh, yeah, it looks like Marino. Yes, Marino.
Does a pretty decent job of kind of holding the same style
I agree.
as Tony Daniels. Does the same kind of panoramic shots
Yeah,
and that
'cause I
sort of
didn't
stuff.
really notice, and usually I notice if there's...
So I don't know how much of that is the two of them are trying to work together to hold the same style, and how much of it is Brian Hitch, the writer. How much of it is him requesting those big panoramic shots, because that is kind of a Hitch kind of thing. That's his kind of thing, because he's actually an artist and a writer now clearly moving more into the writer because he can't keep the timeline. He can't keep up with a monthly book, let alone a 2-month book. So he's just doing the writing of it and whatnot. But I was still really enjoying this as a super team book. I find it really fun. There's a lot of great elements in it. You get a little bit of character personality from from everybody. It doesn't. The book so far hasn't really dropped and focused hard on anybody. Superman maybe a little more because he really is off doing his own thing.
And he's the new Superman.
And Aquaman for a page or two because of course he's off doing his own thing. But otherwise, it seems very equally paced amongst everybody.
True.
Everybody seems reasonably in character. Maybe they're not exactly like their own personal books, but close enough that you're not. There's nothing glaringly going, oh my gosh, about it. Kind of a thing that really throws it off as far as that kind of stuff goes. There's some elements of the larger story that haven't completely come together, but we're starting to get pieces of it. There's this invasion that's coming that wants to consume everything.
Right.
Its fail-safe is if it can't consume everything, it's going to have these self-destruct things inside the planet. They're going to wreck it.
Which are the ones that they're trying to disable.
Because the Justice League is fighting those things, is giving the ability of the Kindred to gather up their power to sing whatever cosmic end swan song of the universe or whatever. So there's like 2 or 3 elements going on.
There's a whole lot of stuff going on.
And you're not sure exactly, are the Kindred really bad guys, or are they just part of the swans? Are they just the thing that's singing of the end? But they haven't been able to sing it because this other thing's destroying it.
It's not going to be a bad thing for them to sing if they're just
right. Well, Wonder Woman seems to basically tell them, "Look, I'm not letting you do this. I don't know what it is you're doing, but it ain't happening." So she's trying to fight them while Batman and Cyborg are fighting the other things on the on Earth basically, and you've got the lanterns are up at the source,
Right.
try and direct the source.
And
They go to the
Superman's underneath
source,
trying to deal. Yeah, they do.
and of course because they're computer based, the things that are attacking and trying to annihilate the planet are computer based. Cyborg ends up interfacing with them, and of course it's either going to cause Cyborg problems or it's going to cause them problems, or a combination of the both.
Right.
Because when they get to the source has been corrupted by Cyborg,
Yes.
but potentially they've corrupted Cyborg too.
So it should
So,
be
whichever it is.
interesting to see
Yeah.
what.
But like I said, I don't know about you, but I've been really bad. But I mean, like I said, for being,
it's been fun. It's not my favorite book in the whole world, but it's been fun.
well, I never said it was my favorite.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, I like I said, really been enjoying it. I like the elements, like the way it looks, and that sort of stuff. So, issue 4 of Nightwing, end of the arc.
Yep. And they still draw Batman with the scraggly. It just must be a thing. Scraggly face hair for both.
Yeah, Fernandez. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's
that's his way of showing somebody older, I guess.
okay.
Dick is younger, so he's smooth and fresh faced. Raptor is an older guy, so he's scruffy. Of course, they actually refer to him as looking scruffy.
Yeah, they do. And
Right.
they never say that Batman is. So
It's because nobody ever sees
Weird.
Batman. Because he's
Yeah.
busy hiding in the trees. I still don't understand that joke from the Batman book, but
oh yeah,
but that's a whole other thing. I was going to get into that. I just remembered that whole dumb thing. So, what do you think of it?
I don't know. I guess because I'm me, I tend to be a bit of a Pollyanna. I didn't particularly enjoy the whole Cobra thing. It's like, oh, of course he's,
Okay, so you say the Cobra thing. So what ends up happening is they end up basically being the Parliament of Owls.
That part's good.
Raptor comes through, helps them out. They get all this stuff and whatnot. And after it's all said and done, you get to the last pages, and Raptor, of course, is disappeared because he can never be a superhero. He's always the person who's going to be in the dark. He basically tells Nightwing that.
And he's gonna
It disappears.
be arrested.
But he shows up, and then we get this page of him hanging out at the Cobra headquarters and getting paid in gold because the piece of technology that they gave Nightwing that's going to seek out all of the Parliament of Owls and get them all arrested has a backdoor program in it, and actually Cobra will know about it before them, and Cobra will go and sounds like going to kill all these people before the authorities can get to him, because Cobra wants to eliminate the Owls, because how dare the Owls threaten their world dominance of being a secret whatever.
And
So you're
also,
upset.
didn't they steal some tech, some animal,
So you're upset.
anamorphine type tech from Cobra. Didn't he say it's kind of a Cobra thing?
Well, he used it to, yeah.
Okay. But either way, yeah.
So you're saying you're upset with the fact that
that he's
he
like
seems to
this
be
double
he seems to be like a
agent.
turncoat,
Yeah,
potentially.
That whole, what about him? And he's like, oh, I've got him wrapped around my finger. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really?
Sure. So my thing was, and it's not an issue, it's just a kind of a thing that sucks for Dick is, of course, Batman scolds him. He comes back. Batman scolds him because Batman doesn't like how he operates. Even though Batman told him to do it,
Yeah.
I wanted to, and Dick does at least call him on that. Look, dude, you told me to do it.
Thank
How I want to do
goodness.
it. But Batman's like, you don't know the guy. You shouldn't have trusted him. And Dick's like, oh no, gut feeling. I know he's a good guy and whatnot. And then of course
Right.
we get the Cobra page. So basically, Batman's going to be able to say, "I told you so"
Yeah,
at some
that
point,
sucks.
unless
Raptor's playing his long game.
he's
like he
playing
said
the
he
long
would.
game. He's
And
messing with everybody.
I will hope that that's
And of course, there's also this element in there as he's pushing Nightwing out to free him and separate the two of them. You're a lot like what your mom said you'd be like.
Yeah.
Because clearly he's a circus guy. We already established that he
Right.
had something in the circus.
The man
But
with
now
the pain.
Nightwing is left with this, oh man, he knows something about my parents, something else. Like he's never met his parents. That's the part that gets me.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
I don't know. Granted, I'm not separated from my parents, but if I suddenly had some person show up and make some comment about my parents and wander off, I don't know that I would be like, oh, no, I don't know what that is.
No. And plus, in your case, half the town seems to know your
Right. So at any rate, I don't know. Just whatever.
Yeah.
I guess, and maybe that's just
Yeah.
my own personal whatever. But anyway,
So
I still like the comic.
Oh, yeah.
It's not rocking my socks off. I love the Fernandez art though. Signing all these people exclusive. They should sign this dude exclusive. I don't care what comic he's doing. Whatever. It's going to be cool looking.
yeah, the art
I
is
think.
good.
I really do enjoy that.
And I'm
so.
over the scruffy chin. I get it.
Yeah, she doesn't like people's scruffy chins.
It's so not true.
It's a long day at my house, let me tell you. Next up, Supergirl, issue number 1, the official number 1. Supergirl.
Yep.
What do you think? What do you think of the art?
I don't know.
I think the art's perfect for the book.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think the art's
Just
perfect.
like the art was good for the Burnside Batman.
Right. I think that it holds elements of, I don't really want to say manga, but kind of that animated, cute style to it that I think will be strong with what I hope is the perceived demographic that this would be pointed to first and foremost. Elements of the book I really like. I mean, I like the idea of the fact that she's gonna be this high school student. I mean, I thought it was amusing that they're teaching her to drive a car, and she's frustrated with that because, of course, that's the experience everybody has.
With how low tech everything is too, which is
but that ends up becoming an interesting element in it. She's trying to fit in. The book does, I think, does a good job of telling two kind of stories mirroring each other. This is how she was when she was on Krypton. She's this really brilliant kid. She was going into the highest levels of science education because of how smart she was and whatnot. On Earth, she's actually going to a science-oriented high school. She's struggling at the science-oriented high school because everything is, she's having problems using the slide projector, the overhead projector, because it's a piece of antiquity. It's like...
Yeah, it could be in a museum on Krypton if there ever even was one.
Right. And so she's coming across as potentially being dumb, so that all frustrates her that she knows she should be brilliant, and she is so hamstrung by how low tech everything is, and I think it's an interesting. Element
one of those things they haven't really played on before in my years of reading these comics.
Right. So it's an interesting frustration. She's not just 100% adapting. She's not just cruising along, but I was kind of hoping we see more of the high school element, and it already feels like we're going to lose the high school element out of the book because of who comes in at the end. Who was like the last person I wanted to see in the Supergirl book. Did you read much of the superhero of Supergirl of the New 52 that I got?
I think I read some of it.
Where she ends up being a Red Lantern at one point, very briefly.
Yeah,
but
we kind of quit reading.
But Cyber Superman showed up in that.
Oh, right.
Basically, every single arc was her being shown like some version of the Promised Land. You can get Krypton back, you can get blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Her getting suckered by somebody, and then her looking like stupid at the end of it and getting mad, punching a bunch of stuff, and then wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat.
That's true. I remember that.
For 20 some odd issues. That's all, and I'm already worried that's what's going to happen here. Just because suddenly Cyborg Superman shows up at the end of it going, hey, I can give you what you want. I can give you your fix.
Yeah, and because I remember in the previous Supergirl, one of the better arcs was the arc with Banshee.
Right.
Just because it was an interpersonal relationship between two young women.
Right.
With similar struggles. Mm-hmm. And so like you, hope that that's not...
Right. So, but it feels to me, like I said, I kind of wanted to see more of the high school elements in there and stuff, I guess. And it feels like we're not going to have that now with Cyborg Superman showing up. They're not going to be spending time in high school.
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
So
and also the Danvers, pulled the typical trying so hard foster parents and got some picture from some historic thing of Kryptonian living room. And they redo their whole living room, and she's like, it's 100 years out of date.
200.
And she just runs off. She's all pouty. Right. And I'm just thinking, that was so kind of them, and they tried so hard. But it's just one of those things where you're
but at the same time,
trying to connect to your...
sometimes she's a young... she's a young adult.
Right, exactly.
Teenager, and does the kind of... Despite being Kryptonian, she still has some of those same elements.
That's a very typical kind of thing where you try, I've seen other stories that were more realistic where, the mom's trying to learn Spanish or something, and it just
the foster kid or
and it just doesn't
the step kid or whatever
it's supposed to. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure.
So I appreciate that.
And finally, we get Superman issue number 6, end of the arc.
Superboy. Da, da, da.
Officially introduced at the end of this as being Superboy.
I've enjoyed this. I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to more of it. And, this of Rebirths, this is probably one of my favorites.
Crypto lives!
I know! He made him spit the dang dog out. I'm so glad about that. Well, the
He'd
Pinto
spit
kind of
the
chewed
dog.
his way out.
Yeah, he has the dog, so the dog is stuck
was
inside the
pretty
rat.
awesome.
The dog is stuck inside a rat cage. Been sucked up a couple issues ago. Oh my gosh, everybody's freaking out. Clearly Tomasi hates people's pets because he
Right,
killed the cat.
The cat gets
in the first
incinerated,
issue, and then the dog gets
sucked
sucked
in.
up and eaten is what it looks like. So horrible and whatnot. And yeah, in this issue, Superman actually calls Krypto from inside. The dog bites out to bite Superman's arm through the Eradicator's chest, and then he rips the dog out of the Eradicator, tearing the Eradicator apart in the process. All, big, huge, crazy stuff and whatnot. Lots of wonderful elements in here. We still, the family dynamic's an important aspect of
That's
it.
awesome.
His son is an important aspect of this. I will fight anybody not to the death over the fact that yes, this has the similar element that there's a father and a son in it as the Batman and Robin book, but treated completely differently because, of course, Clark and John have a completely different relationship.
They've known each other since birth. They've
Right.
never.
Well, right. It's just so anybody who is scoffing at the book because they think it's just gonna be the same thing repeated and they're not doing anything new, you're wrong. The elements
And
of
it's
it
also
are
the whole difficulty of a half human, half Kryptonian child.
Sure, that's gonna come along.
And how that child is going to develop, how his powers are going to develop,
Right.
and how sometimes it appears that human emotions cancel out Kryptonian power sets.
Yeah, it does seem that way. doesn't it?
And that's going to be really interesting. Puberty is going to be an interesting time
Yeah.
in the Clark household.
Yeah. All great stuff.
Yeah,
all great
really,
stuff. Lois is awesome in this.
This is making me more of a Superman fan than I've ever been. I've never been a big Superman.
Yeah, this is probably really like with the New 52. There were some books that came out that I really enjoyed that we would have never ever seen, and I would have, we would have never touched probably or had anything to do with. This is the big surprise so far. About halfway-ish through the
Really
Rebirth
enjoyable.
stuff. This is a book that I wouldn't have picked up Superman. Every time I've tried, I would have picked it up because I try every Superman.
Right.
New Superman comes out, and almost immediately go, yeah, okay, this isn't for me. Kind of thing. This has been an absolute joy, and I know largely it has to do with the fact that Tomasi, the Tomasi and Gleason Gray combination of creators.
They know
Whatever they're doing together, I'm buying because it's just the two of them together have great storytelling abilities and whatnot.
True.
It's a joy to read. So
Okay, so that's our last superhero book, yeah?
that is it.
Alrighty. We'll be back.
Bye.